Reviews.
Ooh.
So, review section. I can see again your overload of joy from this week's episode of Rebels.
Yeah, that was Rebels. What was it called? The Wynkahthu Job. Wynkahthu Job. With everyone's favourite Hondo in it. Look, there were actually two things in this episode that I really liked.
Yeah,
right?
what were they? Let's start with the positives, Jay, please.
Right, the positives. The first one was AP5, because I'm not a big fan of Chopper.
Yeah, I love him.
Right, but I like AP5, and he makes me laugh
cool.
whenever he's on. And even on this episode, he made me chuckle. It's his really like condescending voice, and he's I can't be bothered with this. You know, he has, and I love that about him. I find it quite funny. So there was that, and the second thing was the end credits, because it meant it was over.
Oh, that's a bit hard.
I hated this episode. Not only did they have Hondo in it, as I said last week, I hate Hondo, right? But now, because they thought maybe people don't dislike him enough, let's make him part of a double act. Whenever he turns up, As Morrigan will turn up. I hate As Morrigan more than Hondo. Oh my god! And the worst thing is, I watched that episode when it came out. I think I watched it on Saturday, and because we were doing this evening, and when there's things that I hate, I have this tendency to just purge them from my memory. So I was like, oh god, I better watch it again to remind myself what I hated about it. So
you watched it twice.
The show, I had to sit and watch it again, and I was just sitting there going, oh my god, I hate this. And like even the little bit where there are those, what are the droids, the in the Imperial ship, you know, the big, I can't remember, the Guardians, whatever they were,
Sentinels,
Sentry droids.
Sentry.
And As Morrigan comes around the corner and he's going, and he's like shooting, and he hits one and takes it out. That pissed me off, because I was like, no, he should not hit any of them. He's too crap. He should just get shot to pieces. But no, that's not going to happen. So this guy is out there, and unless we see him die in Rebels, which we're probably not going to, you've got to live with the fact that he's probably out there somewhere in the galaxy, and that just should not happen, right?
Oh.
And well, also, the other thing is they were getting those proton bombs. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah, they're getting those proton bombs, right? We did not need to see that, right? That could have been a passing comment in another episode going, oh yeah, we picked up these proton bombs off a downed Star Destroyer, blah, 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 whatever, and then got on with an episode that was meaningful. We didn't need to see this. It was just oh man, we've got too many episodes this season. What do? Let's just fill in some space. That doesn't need to happen.
That is the problem, isn't it? That is the problem, because these episodes are fillers. They're not moving the main story along, and that's why they're frustrating. I mean, to be fair, I didn't really mind it. I mean, it wasn't my favourite episode. It definitely, it's not one I'm ever going to watch again. But I mean, there was some. I thought the sort of fighty scenes. I think there was a couple of cool bits in it, but the entrance of all the Sentry droids when they all came together, that was cool.
Yeah,
the big one's head came up. So there was a couple of good images. But yeah, the characters weren't that great. I just find it impossible to believe that Ezra likes this bloke. I mean, that doesn't ring true.
No.
The fact that the rest of the crew even put up with him, it just doesn't. None of it made sense.
Just jetting him.
I like the little Ugnaught. He was cool.
I like Ugnaughts, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I do like Ugnaughts. So why could they just not have a couple of those doing something?
Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to waste my time talking about something we didn't like.
I do want to say something else though. I saw the clip for next week's episode. Inside Man comes out this Saturday. Now that looks good. It looks like we're going to get back to a bit of Thrawn being ruthless. Have you seen the little clip?
No.
Check it out, dude. I'm not going to say anything about it. It's worth checking out, and it made me excited for next week's because, look, I liked last week's episode more than I liked this week's episode. Right.
Okay.
And I didn't like last week's episode. But when you're getting like 2 or 3 like that back to back, you start going, oh man, like do I want to watch this? So I'm glad that next week it looks like, I think we're coming up to now the mid-season finale. which will be in 2 episodes' time. So it looks like they want to obviously finish that little bit on a high. So we've got a bit of Thrawn next week. That's cool. I mean, for me so far, the episode that I've liked the most this season has been the one where they picked up Wedge from the Imperials. I just thought that was such a great episode. Yeah. And you know what? We're 3 seasons in. They're forming the rebellion. This is what I want to see. I want to see how that's happening. That was such a good and well put together episode. So hopefully next week's will be good, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, let's hope it is. We get some improvements. As you say, I think hopefully as we wind up to the mid-season finale, maybe we'll see some Ahsoka. I know she's not your favourite, but she's definitely mine. So.
I like her a bit better in Rebels. I've liked her in Rebels. I didn't like her so much when she was younger. As I said, in Clone Wars, as much as I wasn't a great fan of Clone Wars, as she got a bit older towards the end, I sort of started to like her. I was like, okay, she's not too bad. And when she appeared in Rebels, I was like, okay, she's pretty cool now. So it's just look. I know that these cartoons are initially aimed at kids. They're on Disney. And I think that it's just that when it's really kiddie, I start to not like it. And I like it when they get the balance right, where they put something in there for the kids, but also they put something there for the long-time fans who've been fans from the beginning. We want to see these stories as well. I liked her when she was older because there's just more to her for me.
Totally agree. Okay, right. So let's move on to something I really have been enjoying, and I think you have, the ones that you've read, and that's the recent crop of Marvel Star Wars comics. Obviously, with the with Force Awakens and the resetting of the canon from Disney taking everything on, Marvel took over the comics license from Dark Horse. All the old Legends comics were wiped out, and Marvel was given free reign to start again and set up a whole new load of canon comics, most of them being set between Star Wars, A New Hope, and Empire Strikes Back. And it initially kicked off with Star Wars, the main flagship title. So many copies sold that it had about 1 million different variant covers. I think they released a art book just on the different covers, just from that one book.
Wow. A whole book on that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty cool. And all the best artists. But I think what Marvel really did right when they did this, they put top name creators on this. You had Jason Aaron. You've got people like Mark Waid. You just got all the greats. You've got some really good artists. You've got my brain's just completely gone on it. But Terry Dodson. You've had oh dear. Let's not go into this list of artists I can't remember. But let's just believe me, like top artists from Marvel, top writers from Marvel, they're all on there. Brilliant stuff. So the sort of titles we've had so far, the 2 main ones have been Star Wars, the main title, and Darth Vader's had his own title. But also there's been mini-series come out. There's been a Princess Leia mini-series. Han Solo one's
the Leia one wasn't
up.
So good.
The Leia
one was weak.
It was a brilliant art. That was definitely.
You liked the art in that?
Oh, amazing art for that one. And Mark Waid, so it was all right, and that told a bit of a backstory around some of the people from Alderaan and Princess Leia trying to gather up the people that survived. The different people across the galaxy that.
Oh yeah.
From Alderaan, so that was quite interesting. Han Solo one's been quite good. He's on a mission, and part of that mission, his cover is on a race. Him Chewie have entered in the Falcon, so that's been quite good. The Lando one was probably the weakest one I read.
Okay. See, I haven't read that one yet. I have it, but I do know a lot of people were saying that it was really good. A lot of people seem to like it.
It didn't really capture me a bit, but then
I think it captured Lando.
Oh no, I didn't capture Lando, and Lando didn't capture me. Because if he had done, he'd have sold me out like a scum that he is. So yeah, unfortunately, I didn't really get on with it. But then, like I say, my tastes are more the Jedi type stuff and the more fanciful superheroics, and that was more a smuggler tale. It was very low key story, and equally I didn't enjoy the Chewbacca one, which was similar, and also really hard to read because it was just him which that's rubbish.
Yeah.
But he had little friends. It was a bit. It reminded me of Caravan of Courage, the Ewok movie.
Yeah.
Even though the story was nothing to do with that. It was just
They all the Ewoks spoke English. So did they not have a little? They must have had a translation for Chewie. Right?
I don't think they did. To be honest, I don't think they did.
Okay. I have it. I haven't read it yet.
Well, you've got to catch up, Jay.
They're all here. They're all a pile of them here.
What else have we had? Oh, the Poe Dameron miniseries. That was the one I was most surprised about. I've really been enjoying that.
Okay.
They've introduced a really interesting character working for the First Order.
Is this set before Episode 7, the Poe Dameron?
Yeah, just before. He's basically looking for... I'm so rubbish with names. The geezer that he was talking to at the beginning of Force Awakens.
Lord Santeca.
That's the one. Oh, Tekken. Hadouken!
That's Street Fighter.
I'm rubbish. Who let me on this podcast? So, going back to my plot line. Anyway, so he's got this great nemesis on there. Really interesting character. And the most recent episode of that, issue, let's be proper comic fans here, issue, it gave his backstory, and without spoiling it, the interesting bit is he was one of the stormtroopers in the Battle of Jakku.
Ooh. Sorry, who's this? Who's the stormtrooper?
This is the nemesis of Poe in the storyline. So I won't go into any more on that, but that was quite interesting. So you saw a bit of Jakku battle action and what happened after that from his point of view. So that was interesting. Out of all these titles, though, the one comic that I think really stood out is the Darth Vader title. Written by Kieran Gillen. He's wrote all 25 issues of it. Mm-hmm. Most of the art was Salvador Larroca, who just his version of Vader is just so beautiful. The work he's done in that has just been amazing. And also, I think there was also a couple of fill-ins by Lillian someone, but probably not so important. He only did a couple of episodes. It's mainly Gillen and LaRocca, so let's just focus on them. But basically, again, it's set in the same time period between Star Wars and Empire. It's all about Darth Vader, Dave Vader, yeah. That's what he's known amongst, his chums on the Executioner. So basically, Dave, he's got a lot to prove. It didn't go so well. Spoilers for Rogue One, but eventually that Death Star blows up. And, So
they get the plans in.
I think Vader really got the finger pointing at him. So he's got a bit to prove. He's got to make sure the Emperor still believes that he's his main man. And there's another fellow in the background that he's feeling a bit threatened by.
Who's he?
Silo or something like that. He's He's coming up with all the. He's basically enhancing some other people.
Is he the dude with the cyborg eye?
He is a cyborg eye man, and he was also. It turns out one of the people that helped make Darth Vader's armor when they rebuilt him. So, yeah.
So he knows all the weaknesses.
He does know the weaknesses, or does he? But, I mean, Kieran Gillen, absolutely brilliant. I actually went to the Star Wars Marvel panel at Star Wars Celebration Europe in London this year. And I was sat right at the front. And in fact, on the streaming video of it, which went up on StarWars.com, I actually walked right in front of it. And so you got my big baldy head in front of it. Because I went to get in the queue to ask a question, and unfortunately the queue was at the back of the room, and I was right at the front, so I didn't get to answer my question, which was annoying.
What are you going to ask?
Well, actually, this was what I was just going to go on to in terms of the review. The genius thing about the run of this is he's introduced 3 really interesting characters. And what I wanted to know was his inspiration. He's introduced 2 droids but look like an alternative version of R2 and C3PO.
I do like those.
So you've got 000, who is basically the equivalent of C3PO, and you've got BT1 or BT, who's also an astromech droid. But they are totally evil. All they are thinking about is different ways to kill people and try to dissect them and torture and inflict pain every second they can get. There's all these little snidey comments every chance they get. And also, they're owned by a new character called Dr. Alpha, who's a bit of a mercenary scientist that Vader's employed to help try and find out who is this Skywalker chap. I don't even think he knows he's Skywalker, to be honest, initially, but find out a bit more about Luke and try and get to. There's a bit of a crossover with the main Star Wars title.
I was about to ask that, yeah. At the beginning, right? Or was it the whole way through?
Yeah, at the beginning mainly, and then there was like a mini series that crossed over called Vader Down.
Yeah,
and this was amazing. Basically, Vader gets cut off from the rest of his fleet. Gets in a big fight. There's this amazing shot of all the X-wings and fighting and everything, and like all these dead bodies floating around everywhere. And then basically Vader ends up crashing on his planet and basically has to fight a whole planet's worth of people. And he's just awesome. I mean, it just made him look so cool. But the characterizations that Kieran Gillen brings into these characters, there are people you've never heard of before, but they really sort of steal the book in some ways.
I do have the Vader comics. I think that I don't have the last 2 or 3. I need to pick those ones up, and I haven't read all of it. You need to finish that. I sort of read maybe the first quarter of them. One of the things, like with you having read them all, there's actually 2 questions. So the new characters that are introduced, so including the droids, but also including Dr. Alpha and whoever else, do they fit as Star Wars characters? Do you think they have the Star Wars-ness about them, or do you know what I mean? Do you find that they fit?
I do know what you mean. I mean, I think there's always, with all the Star Wars comics, and this goes right back to the original Marvel ones.
With Jackson.
They had a feeling that they weren't quite in the same universe, that this was a bit wonk.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether that's because you at the time then you knew that they weren't canon, whereas this, we absolutely know everything that goes on in these comics are canon. So, no, I think they're fairly true to it. I mean, there is a danger, I think, of the comics in the fact that they're going to go too far explaining things and telling us too much. I was really wary of a Darth Vader comic because, to be honest, we know so much about him already. Anything that's going to ruin the mystique and soften him, I don't want him becoming likable when he's Darth Vader.
Actually, something.
Chewbacca here. When I'm not hanging around with that scoundrel Han Solo or whipping arms out of sockets, I like to relax by watching Star Wars fan videos. And to be honest, my favourite happens to be Forced Conversations, a Star Wars fan show by those 2 lovely chaps, Jay and Colin. I always subscribe and like the videos, so I think that's something you 2 should do. You can also get in contact with them and tell them what you think of the show. They'd love to hear from you, they really would. So please tweet at them at ForcedConvo, or you can send them an email on forcedconvo@gmail.com. The easiest way is to leave a little comment on that video. Definitely press the little like button and make sure you subscribe. Well, enough for this. I'm off. Toodaloo. Bye.